Hey people, Stuart Smith here. Today we're doing another informational video, and today the video is on damage and gems. And specifically what I mean by that is, how much damage is my weapon doing, and how much is it doing when I use Wrathful, or All-In, or One Trick, or Stoic, or any of those, and what gem is really good for my weapon, or what gem is going to be proccing a lot, or stuff like that. So we're going to be looking to a bit more of the specifics of that. Before we actually get into the video, I do need to explain a few things first. First and for all, not everything is 100% accurate, I just tested this, just me and a few friends, so, some things could be a point or few off, but most of it should be relatively correct. And one other thing is, we used Mind's Eye to test all this, so, Mind's Eye will round to a whole number, so if you have something like 10.2 and 10.5, it's just going to look like 10. So there are some differences with damage, like how over time you might see a little difference between damage, but it's very relatively insignificant. So first we're going to start with Sword, and you can probably see it on screen now, all that. Sword, very good weapon. After looking at all the damage and everything, it's great. You can see all the damages without anything. Just classic Sword, no Shrine, is very good. Like doing a considerable amount of damage. It works, personally, in my opinion, for Wrathful, One Trick, or Stoic. Although, if you're running One Trick, you're kind of losing a lot of combo potential. I wouldn't fully recommend it, because you're not getting a whole ton of damage. And you're probably going to see that there's no damage difference between the M2s and stuff like that. That's just because M2s and certain abilities aren't affected by shrines, and certain abilities like Regal Slash 2, as you can see, aren't affected by shrines or even All-In. I'll point those out as we go on, but yeah. But Sword, definitely a great all-arounder, and seriously good for damage, as you're going to see as we go on. Next, we have Spear here. And Spear, definitely a little bit less damage, which I think is a little weird. I mean, I guess they have Loosened Blade, but still overall fine. It's pretty okay. I'm not a huge Spear guy, but for you Spear guys out there, maybe this means a lot to you. You do get some pretty alright damage on some of the stuff, and overall, it's good damage. Next is Push Daggers, and the classic Push Daggers, and before we actually go into what I think about the damages here, you're going to see something on screen, probably Quick Gouge, and something that you might not have known a lot, or a lot of you might not have known about Quick Gouge, has a specific interaction. If you hit somebody from behind with it, it does about 4 extra damage, and this is pretty considerable. I didn't test all the interactions with this, so if any of you are really curious, you can test it yourself, but this is just a little something for all of you guys, who love to run away and all that stuff. No offense to Push Dagger players, of course. But that is definitely a pretty good thing. And on the damage side, it doesn't really benefit a whole lot from Wrathful or even One Trick, because they're not gaining a crazy amount of extra damage. But it might be worth going with Stoic, especially because it doesn't affect your abilities a whole lot. So, something, a little peace of mind for you guys. Now, Great Sword on screen now. You got the classic, everything here. One thing that is very interesting, and I'm not sure if this was something weird on my part or a bug, is with All-In, it does a staggering, with Giant's Wrath, it does a staggering 47 damage with All-In and One Trick, which is insane. I'm not sure if this was a bug or something, but yeah. And you're also going to see how with, you're probably going to see with Wrathful, Giant's Wrath just does the same amount as when it's using All-In as it would normally. I don't know if that was a bug or if I just didn't test it properly, but it wasn't really worth retesting, so yeah. But overall, One Trick actually could be very good on Greatsword, especially since if you get a good Giant's Wrath off, you can do half of somebody's health. Next is Axe, for all of you Axe gamers. You're going to see that Iron Fury is another one of those abilities that doesn't really get any bonuses, which, I mean, makes sense. It's a pretty easy ability to, combo off of. It's fine. Cinder Slam, by the way, is a little, like, vague. The damages might not seem to make that much sense. That's just because Cinder Slam is a bit of a, like, ability that's hard to test because it sets people on fire, so. But, you know, for you Axe guys, maybe this will give you some more knowledge on what to do. And also, just before we move on, very interesting that Pressure Kick does very little damage. I don't know about you guys if you play Axe, but it's kind of a shitty move, so the more you know. Now Scythe, and this is serious for you Scythe guys. This should be showing you something. This should be teaching you some lessons. But before we get into that, Vestigial Spirit, some of you guys have probably already known this, especially you guys who super main Scythe, but it does make whoever gets hit by it for a short period of time take increased damage, about 25% more. It's a little, like, vague. It could be a little bit less, a little bit more, but pretty considerable damage increase, especially since it can be very easy to hit if you're playing aggressively, so that's good. You're gonna see most of your abilities have very little benefits. Like Cursed Reap, Vestigial Spirit, no bonuses at all, not from Shrines or All In, which is, you know, kind of crazy, but, and only Harvest's Embrace is getting benefits and your M1. So this is one of those instances where I say it might be worth running Stoic too, just because there's so little drawbacks. So yeah. And now, after all the weapons, we're also, I didn't mention this at the start, but we're also going to look at spells for you guys who love to run Scholar, or just, you know, use them for comboing. And this might be a little interesting for you. It was kind of interesting when I was testing it. You're going to see, you got Ruinam first, which has a considerable amount of damage. Like, actually, I would have thought it would have been less, but it's like an ability, really. And another one you're going to see is Cadet with 28 if you can hit it all. It's kind of hard to get a good combo going off with it, but if you can, it could be seriously rewarding, so you guys should look out for that. Rest of this kind of makes sense. Ore also does a lot of damage, but yeah. There's also Blank Canvas here, just because I didn't want to make like a specific section for it, but you know, I wanted to test it for you guys who use Blank Canvas. Does pretty good damage, and it does now. I had previously stated in my other video that it didn't seem to be working at the time to increase damage, but now it does seem to be doing an increase in damage, so that's good. Next, we're going to be doing gems, and it's going to pop up on screen. I'm also going to just talk about them a little bit more, but specifically the way that we tested gem proc rate, before we get into each individual gem, is we basically just took a weapon, so we tested each weapon with every enchant, and we just basically hit an account 100 times, and then we took the number of times it procced out of that, and that's the number we're providing. It's not 100% accurate, it's just to give you a general estimate of how much you should be expecting your gem to proc. And also, this won't be covering Crimson and Rage, because as you're going to see as we go over them, they have a fixed proc rate. They're always going to proc under certain conditions. So you're going to see Viral does about 7 damage, Blaze does about 1 per tick, and I'm just going to state this now, they have about the same proc rate, which is really sad, because Fire, as you guys know, I mean, it's good for PvE, but in PvP sense, really bad. Just, this is not good. And it ticks about like 2 or 3 times per second, which is like, so, you know, for you guys who love to use Blaze in PvP, if this is going to dissuade you or something, I don't know, but just letting you know. Now, Crimson and Rage. These are the ones that have a fixed proc. Now, I was a little confused about this when I had seen it in the updates, just because it was kind of weird, and maybe some of you guys were too, but Crimson specifically procs every 4 hits. That's when it procs all the time, consistently, with a cooldown of 15 seconds. So that means after you've procced it, you have to wait about 15 seconds to be able to proc it again. So, still, pretty good. Very consistent, I guess you'd say. And it does about 4 more damage, except for Greatsword, which does 5, which it's okay. And Rage, which I think is more consistent in my opinion, and I like to run Rage myself, as you guys probably know, procs below 40% HP, and it does about 2 damage per hit extra, and 3 on Greatsword. So that's like a lot more considerable, just considering you're probably going to be proccing it more often. And also something I wanted to point out just before we continue is gems are not going to be proccing on your abilities or anything like that, only your M1s. So yeah. And Vampire, sorry to you vampire guys out there, I did not test the heal. You're gonna see as we go on, and that it just was not worth it at all when we actually checked the proc rates. So we're gonna go through the weapons. So you're gonna see everything on screen now, probably each individual weapon and their proc rate, and you're gonna see a good few things. You're gonna see one, Viral and Blaze mostly have the same proc rate all the time. There's sometimes a difference of a little bit, but it's almost exactly the same across the board. Some weapons do seem to be proccing more. It could be a luck thing, it could be the weapon. If it isn't a luck thing, it's probably not like a percent that's really that really matters that much, but really the thing to notice here is Vampire procced 1 out of 100 times on every weapon except for Greatsword, and procced 0 out of 100 times on Greatsword. This is just sad. Like, I understand, and we all really understand, that Vampire is, you know, a pretty good thing if it were to proc a lot. But the abysmal proc rate is so bad that it is possible that it could just not proc at all in a fight at all, which is just sad. I personally feel that it should maybe be changed. I just don't think like a healing gem works, especially because you're either going to be put in a situation where it, you know, either is never going to proc or is never going to heal you that much. So, and also one other thing is the viral proc rate is considerable. You're probably going to proc it once in a fight. So I would definitely say, for my recommendation for gems, if you're looking for some, viral and rage are pretty good for most weapons. They're very versatile, especially if it's a weapon where you're low health a lot, or you're not just going to get one comboed when you're low health. Crimson is good in certain scenarios, like for you push dagger players who like to play more passively, you could run that. It could do you a lot of help. And like, there's a few other scenarios. Crimson's probably not good on Greatsword, and Vampire is probably not good across the board, but still all pretty good information. And I think that's all the information I've collected. Yeah. So, you know, I hope you guys can use this for evil, and you can, you know, use it to destroy the game or something, you know, because, you know, we're all evil here, and it's Hallows Eve anyway. But other than that, you know, thanks for the support on my last video. I got a lot of people, a lot of comments and stuff like that, you know. It was really nice. If you want me to do something else, another video, or you have some questions you want to ask, you can comment that down below, and I might consider doing it. You know, I don't know, I'm kind of a lazy guy. If you have any more questions about the video, you can ask. If you think I got any of this wrong, as usual, send a pipe bomb to my mailbox, or, you know, shoot me dead, assassinate me, just whatever you feel like doing. And I think that's it, yeah. Thanks for watching my video. I don't know, like or something. And yeah, I hope you can use this information well.